What's up, guys? I was driving down Highway 6 and I saw this little sign that said Mosley Park on the side of the road, and I peered over and it was nothing more than just a small parking lot, and I mean like 10 spaces. Small parking lot, a running trail. You can hear the highway right next to me. Big trucks going back and forth. I am probably 20 meters away from the highway. And I looked over and I saw the stream right here, this little channel, and I thought to myself, you know what? It's always the most unassuming places that make the best fishing spots. Now, I had no intention of actually trying to come out here to a park and catch fish today. As you can see from my attire, anytime you see me in the sweatpants fishing, it was not planned. Nice little spillway behind me there. Then I've got structure like this one, which also is a drainage pipe that, you know, puts nutrients into the water, some good, some bad, but most of which will attract fish of some distinction. And I'm just free-lining baits in the water right now. I've got 2 rods out, as you can see behind me. This one here for carp, that one's got a piece of a hot dog on the end of it, and it looks like a moment ago I was getting a bite here. Just a little pull on the line, and then it stopped. But I can see here, and then earlier right there, lots of bubbles from carp, very clear carp bubbles. Sometimes you see bubbles come up and it's just decomposing material, releasing methane gas and stuff like that. Now these were carp. They were following the pattern of movement that a fish would exhibit. And then over there, right there, you can see that there. That's probably a carp as well. And I also narrowly missed hooking up on a spotted gar a little while ago. He was swimming by on the surface and I tossed that bait out right in front of him and he just kind of grabbed it out of reaction. But as he was pulling it away, it kind of got tangled up in some of these weeds. He felt the resistance, dropped the bait. Yep, gone. Fish on. Oh my gosh, I'm shocked. Not really. It's a decent sized channel catfish. That nice golden hue. Oh, look at this. Interesting. Hang on, let me get a grip on this guy and I'll show you something. There we go. I like setting the hooks as fast as possible on catfish because throat hooking them is just such a pain, and it's always a possibility. Catfish just instinctively swallow baits. Interesting. Look at this fish. Look on this side. You can see a healed wound there. It's going to leave me with a healed wound. These pectoral fins. Anyway, yeah, you can see a healed wound right there on this side, but turn him over and you can see a not so healed wound on this side. And if I had to guess what was responsible for that, based upon how shallow and narrow this body of water is, and the amount of birds I've seen out here, the blue herons and the lesser blue herons, I would imagine a bird did this to this guy. You know, he was probably cruising near the surface of the water looking for food. A heron spotted him, took a stab at him, missed. This fish will recover. That's a nasty little wound, but he'll heal. So let's get him back in the water. Don't want to stress him out any more than he is. I'm going to put him on this side of the pipe over here. Put some bait back on here. That reminds me, in Livingston, I think it's Wolf Creek Camping Resort, right next to Lake Livingston State Park, actually. There was this blue heron that used to hang out there, because my family would go camping out there once a year. And it's right on the water's edge, and there was this blue heron that would hang out there, and it would just sit there. You'd be fishing, and you'd look down to your right or your left, and that one blue heron would be sitting there maybe 20, 30 yards away, just watching you. And the moment you caught a fish, and right there at it's called the bulkhead. It's like the steel-plated or the aluminum-plated walls to that side of the lake. where the campground is, the moment you pulled a fish out of there, it was probably going to be a catfish. That blue heron would perk up and he would close the distance between you and himself or herself, I don't know if it's a female, by maybe a half or more. And suddenly that blue heron is about 15 feet away from you. And it's like, you gonna eat that? And a lot of fishermen would throw the catfish because, you can't eat a catfish under 14 inches for most species. Definitely the channel blue and I think the flathead go by about 12 or 14 inches, I think is the length limit. I don't know because I never eat them, so I don't check on it, but it's 12 or 14 inches, something like that. And this blue heron would just grab these catfish, fly back to a short, a little bit distance away. And the most phenomenal thing would happen. I thought this was so cool. This blue heron had a system for dealing with the pectoral spines of these catfish. Not only did he have a system for getting free food, because, you can't eat the catfish. It's an amazing form of wildlife, and a lot of people were intrigued. And they're like, okay, I'll feed this bird. Not the best idea, but people did it. And this blue heron would get the free meal, fly away, and then one by one, it would grab each pectoral spine and then the dorsal spine and snap them off the catfish. And you'd see him. He'd hold the catfish up by his pectoral spine, whip it off, and you hear a snap. And he'd do each one, and then and only then would that blue heron swallow that fish. Phenomenal. Really, really cool learned behaviors by a wild animal. Thought that was super cool. Anyway, that was a long story. And I need to get bait back in the water because I can see fish action on top of the water. I'm going to cast over to this side now. Feel the line. Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is a big fish. What have we got here? Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I'm so happy right now, guys. Yes. Oh, yeah. Now, this is a fish that I was afraid that we had missed the window for because their breeding season had just passed, and I had a lot of success catching them during their breeding, and then their activity just died off. But I got one right here, and I'm excited. So let me get the hook out of this fish, and I'll show it to you. You get this guy out of the net. We have a lovely and fair-sized bowfin. Really nice. Big, I love the red flare on their tail. Big, huge mouth on this guy, look at that. And inside, you probably can't see it, but inside they have a bunch of needle-sharp teeth. Really a lovely fish. A lot of old-timers call these Grinnell. So if you ever hear someone say they call it a Grinnell, they're talking about a bowfin. These are an ancient form of fish, as you can probably tell just by the looks of it. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe this is the last species of the order from which it comes from. There's not a lot of close relatives to this animal. I think the alligator gar is technically the closest relative, but you have to go way back. Really cool. And very similar to gar, they do like these kind of shallow, slow-moving waters. And they also have a modified lung in the form of their swim bladder, which is what allows them to gulp air out of the surface and survive during extreme droughts. If you look right at the corner of his mouth, right there, you may be able to see just a hint of, right there, I was missing it. Right there, you might be able to see a hint of that purple color. Same with his eyelid. They don't have eyelids, but the membrane above his eye. Kind of a purple aquamarine type color. When this fish is breeding, its fins, all the way down to the pectoral fin, the incredibly long dorsal fin, both pectoral fins, the anal fins, the pelvic fins. Ooh. Got him that time. They all turn these bright green aquamarine shades. Really lovely animal. They'll have a lot of yellow and orange mixed in with that red. They look like a parrot with big sharp teeth. I'm gonna let this guy go. My hands are so slimy. I'm not gonna do the release on camera because I can't hold the camera with these incredibly slimy hands. So, wave goodbye. Bye. I'm gonna put him, because I've got baits in the water over here, I'm gonna put him back on this side over here. Oh, well, that was a fantastic surprise. It's a fish that, I knew it could have been out here. In the back of your head, you know that you might encounter one. But the odds of encountering it You know, I didn't think they were going to be super high, so that just made this whole thing worth it. But I'm never one to stop while I'm ahead. I keep going, get further ahead. Howdy, am I in your way?
Yeah, I'm fixing to spray right here. It's gonna be like 5 minutes. I'm gonna start right there. I gotta spray these weeds. I don't want to spray. If you just want to
sure.
If you just want to leave a bag, just give me 5 minutes. I'm gonna start right here and I'm gonna pass real quick.
Tell you what, is it okay if I just go down that way?
Well, I'm heading that way.
Oh, you're going that way?
Yeah, so I'm gonna start right here. It's only gonna take me 5 minutes to get by real quick.
Okay, I'll just go upstream of you, because I already caught a couple of fish here and I was about to kind of change spots anyway.
Whatever you want to do. I mean, you can stay here, but I just want to spray you.
Yeah, for sure.
Spray. If you get over here for 5 minutes, just let me pass by and then you can fish right here.
Sure. What is that, just like pesticides for the weeds?
Yeah, it's just ground up to kill weeds. So I just didn't want to spray your bag or yourself.
I appreciate it.
I'm going to start right here, so I'm going to skip by real quick, and then your rods can stay right there. I ain't going to spray your rods. I'm going to spray right here. So I didn't want to spray no spray on.
Oh, no, you're good. I'm going to try under the bridge anyway. So I'm going to change locations now. That gentleman up here on the tractor is spraying for weeds, which is interesting because he's spraying for weeds. It's an interesting conundrum because he's spraying for weeds along the edge of this waterway to keep the park, you know, looking nice for patrons, for visitors to come and enjoy the outdoors. And at the same time, you're producing a major issue in terms of chemical runoff into the water here. And these chemicals, I mean, he's spraying poison. There he is behind me. It's not his fault. He's doing his job, so I mean, he's got to do what he's got to be, you know, he's got to do. But as far as that program, that idea is concerned, it's a major problem for the wildlife here, because even the best, most well-designed chemicals for controlling one species, so they're going to have some inadvertent effect on the other species. And this waterway doesn't just stop. It's not dead-ended on both sides. I mean, it's going to flow into something. Chemical runoff is a real issue in many, many North American waterways. It's also why you should never eat anything you catch out of one of these channels in Houston or Sugar Land. It's full of poison. You can see how hot I am now with how hot I am. You know, how hot it is outside and how affected by it I have become. Oh, fish just hit the water right there. Oh, there's a couple of gar in the water I can see. So if you look down there, between those pillars, you can see right there, right at the end of my rods, that's a gar sitting on top of the water. We might try this spot. It's nice and shaded, and fish do seek out shade, by the way. That's something that pike fishermen will tell you, is that pike like to hide up in the shade. There's a lot of fish in Texas that will do the same thing, so I'm going to come around here. It's got a nice ramp for me. Somebody's morning paper. I'm assuming that's been there for a while. By the way, you always have to be super careful when you're in a spot like this. You can see the bridge right next to me, cars driving over it. A lot of people think it's a good idea, and it's not, to throw random objects over the bridge. And some people dump their trash like that, and some people just think it's hilarious. And I was almost killed once when that happened right next to me. Somebody driving over a bridge that was much higher than this one. It was actually the bridge going over Bray's Bayou at McGregor. And that's maybe 20, 30 feet higher than this one. Somebody threw a fire extinguisher off that bridge while I was under it, and it landed about 10 feet to my left and exploded. The explosion of chemical is not what I was worried about. It was, you know, the 30 pounds of metal being thrown out of a car, almost hitting me in the head. So if you look at the end of my rod tip, right there he is, he just came up. That's the fish that has our bait in his mouth, and you can see him pulling line off the spool as he moves away. Yeah, see him how he's twitching his head like that? He's trying to swallow it. And here he is taking line. He's taking line. I think it's time to set the hook, guys. Set that drag. Whatever you're doing with the gar, always reel it up. A good amount of line before you set the hook. Okay, he's on. He's on. Oh, Feisty guy. Oh, nope. Missed him. Come on, get in the net, get in the net, get in the net, get in the net. In the net. Alright, this one is much bigger than the last one. Not huge. I mean, calm down. Calm down. He's bit the net, so there we go. Hold him upside down for a minute. Sends him into tonic immobility. He just kind of relaxes. You can see I can hold him pretty much open-handed. He's not really going to do anything. The moment I turn him over, though, he will. So let me close my grip. Close my grip on him. Yeah, already I can feel his muscles tensing up. Lovely fish. God, I love these fish. Look at the spots on his tail. Polka, he looks like a cheetah. He looks just like a cheetah with that yellow and black polka dot. Ah, just gorgeous. Interesting. Okay, here's a cool thing. So right there, I saw that on his tail, and I thought, oh, look at that parasite. It's not a parasite. No, come here. Come here. Hold you upside down. Oh, wow. Oh, he's so strong. He's so strong. Right there. He broke my fingernail. He broke it. He bent it right back in the middle and just broke it. Ooh, that hurts. Man, good on you, buddy. You got me back one. And he didn't bite me. He didn't bite me. He hit me. Ooh. He hit me with his gill plate, with his head, and just the force just snapped my fingernail right down the middle. God, you know, it's the price you pay for catching dinosaurs. Look at those teeth. Beautiful body. Anyway, that's not a parasite. That's a string. It's a piece of looks like braided fishing line that is caught in his scales. There, get that out of there. Tells me he has probably snapped off somebody's line in the past. Somebody was probably fishing out here for catfish with braid that was, you know, a little too small to take something like this, maybe 8-pound braid, and he just tore it, ripped it. Beautiful fish. Yeah, ouch. Look at that fingernail. It's starting to bleed. Can you see that blood in the middle of my fingernail? He broke my fingernail. Good grief. Powerful animal. Powerful, powerful animal. Powerful animal is he. God, I love those teeth. Anyway, let's let this guy go. You and me, we're one-on-one, buddy. Next time. Next time. You know, I was going to call that fight a draw. I think that gar might have edged the decision a little bit. Not only did he break my fingernail, which hurts, gave me a pretty decent cut on the end of this finger. A nice cut going all the way from the top of the finger down towards the base of the finger pad, I don't know what you call it. Yeah, sliced me. And you know, I don't know how it happened. It could have been its teeth, it could have been bitten and I didn't realize it, just the tooth cutting across my finger. It could have been the sharp scales, could have been the gill plate. So yeah, nice little cut on one hand that is really starting to hurt. God, and it was a slice. That's why I'm thinking it was one of his teeth. And then broken fingernail on the other hand. So I think I lost that one. Well, that about does it for me. Unlike a lot of places I fish, where I've got a long walk or a long drive back to civilization, there's civilization right there. And down there, that's where I caught those fish. Interesting place, Mosley Park. More of a rest stop, but 3 different species in a little under 2 hours with nothing more than a piece of hot dog. Here's that trail that led back there I was telling you about. And look, I don't know what this is about, but someone even left a tied bundle of kindling out here. It's strange. But yeah, check it out. Interesting wildlife out here. And really good fishing.